So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to welcome up to the stage, Erik Peacock. Erik, welcome to the show. Super excited to hear your talk today. I'm going to leave it with you.
All right. Thanks for that great introduction, Travis. So we'll go ahead and start the next slide there, which is kind of the same, says the same thing. So transforming your body and your life, because a lot of people, when they think about transforming their body, it's about getting, maybe you think of washboard abs, getting to a size 0, having muscles. But we don't really deal a lot with that. There's a few people that have those goals, but we really look at improving the quality of life. Somebody's goal might be like we just had a woman that's a grandma that wants to be able to walk upstairs without getting winded and be able to play with her grandkids. That's transforming her body so she's able to do that. We've had a lot of great stories of people that when they did transform their body and their body worked better, their quality of life went up. So that's what we're really talking about here today. So I'm going to start with probably the best story about this. We're going to click to the next slide. So other than my wedding day and my watching both of my daughters being born, this picture right here is the 4th best day of my life. And this woman became a very dear friend because I was really inspired by working with her. The woman in the picture's name is Susan Peters. When I first met her, she was in a wheelchair. She couldn't walk. She could barely get out of the wheelchair with a rail. She had to lean over on a rail. I could barely hear her talk. It turned out she had been hit head on by a snowplow back in 1993, which gave her a severe brain injury, which almost killed her. It left her right side completely unusable, much like a stroke would, and she couldn't walk. The prognosis by the doctors was she would never walk again. She would be in high level of care, and she would never be out of a high level care facility like a nursing home. Well, and then to kind of throw wound, kick wound or sand in the wound. She basically, her husband at the time tried to steal money from her settlement, so she had to divorce him. So you talk about a low point. I got to meet her in 2000 and talked about her coming in the club. And over 5 years working with her, she was able to walk. And this story is a longer story, but I don't have a lot of time, so I'm just going to sum it up. But it's a pretty amazing story. She slowly but surely started to walk again, and she was walking like to the first aerobic studio at my old job at the big gym. She did about 10 yards. Pretty soon it was 25 yards to the second aerobic studio. Pretty soon she could walk around the entire track. And back in 2004, she said, I'm going to do a 5K. And, a lot of people are Minnesota nice, and they're like, oh, that's nice, Susan, you'll do that. But they didn't believe she could do it. Well, fast forward to the fall of 2005, this woman not only did a 5K, she was on Channel 11 the whole time. We had called Channel 11, and I still remember the night before that big day. My wife's an occupational therapist, and she'd worked a lot in rehab. She said, is she going to be able to do that? And I said, I don't know, but she's going to give it 100%. Well, not only did she give it 100%, she made it around Lake Harriet in 3 hours and 15 minutes. And that picture is of a finish line that the Minneapolis police had erected for her, because they were actually doing a Special Olympics event that same day. And there's a ton of people around the lake that stayed to watch her finish that race. And Channel 11 covered the whole thing. It was a truly magical day. And the really cool thing is about Susan is she does not have a wheelchair anymore. She lives independently. She works part-time out of her apartment. The only thing she can't do is drive. But that's a heck of a lot better than the prognosis that she was given. And that is about transforming bodies and lives. I mean, she doesn't have washboard abs. She's not bench pressing 200 pounds, but that's a major transformation. And that's what we're talking about here today. So go ahead and hit to the next slide. So we're going to talk about why do most people fail, because it's a high level of failure. Usually by about February 1st, the New Year's resolution crowd, about 80% of them have dropped off. And a lot of people struggle with this. And that's okay. If they didn't, I wouldn't have a profession. But the number one reason is usually an incomplete program. Usually we only focus on one aspect of fitness. A lot of times we just kind of default to cardio. We don't really do much with stretching or strength, which I'm going to talk more about later on here. Nutrition. A lot of times people will join a gym or get a workout program, but they don't address their nutrition. And you cannot outwork a bad diet. Number 3 and 4 really go hand in hand. People get really gung-ho. They want to go from, I want to be I was a couch potato a day ago, but now I'm going to train like a Navy SEAL. And they ended up either overtraining themselves or probably jacking up a joint, creating some type of injury. And injuries are probably one of the biggest things that just kills motivation. And then 5 and 6 really kind of go together too, is a lot of people try to do things on their own. And I'm sure there's a lot of professionals on here that have seen this maybe in their own fields, where you have people tell me they're going to do it on their own and they don't have any knowledge. They maybe read a book or watched a few YouTube videos, but they just struggle. And then eventually they end up hiring you or somebody in your profession. And I find that most people need accountability for big goals. Even myself, I had a big fitness goal back in 2019. I actually hired a trainer to train me for it because I wanted that extra level of accountability and coaching, because I could rationalize with myself why I should or shouldn't do something. And it's great to have a coach that's really kind of tells you where the rubber meets the road and keeps you accountable to your goals and really lays out a path for you. So I think those are some of the main reasons why people fail at their fitness programs. But we're here to talk about solutions. So we're going to talk about step one. So go ahead and click to the next slide. So step one, this is one people never really think about, is just like a GPS. When we load a GPS, we have a destination in mind. Our brain works much the same way. But too often I hear terms like, I want to get in shape. I want to get toned. Those are very vague terms. Does that mean run a 5K? Does that mean going from a size 10 to a size 6? Does that mean a certain body fat percentage or lifting a certain amount of weight? What does that mean? You have to clearly define that. Most people have heard of SMART goals, but most people don't do that with their fitness. They just have this vague thing sitting out there. And then next thing that's even probably more important is your motivation, your big power why. Why are you going to get out of bed when it's cold and dark out in the morning in Minnesota and go to the gym or go downstairs and do a workout? What's going to drive you to do that? Or what's going to drive you to say no to that tempting dessert that's sitting there on your kitchen counter when you're trying to lose weight? And only you can define what that is. And it has to be something that drives some emotion in you. You know, a lot of times people, what drives emotion in them is their kids, their family. They're not just doing it for themselves. They're doing it for other people in their lives that they're counting on them. So figure out what that power why is, and you really have to have that present, because that's what's going to keep you going. It's nice to have a goal, but if you don't have any fuel like behind it, it's just going to run out of fuel. And then you have to seriously evaluate where you're at. You have to have a way to track your progress. You can't improve what you can't track. So having a tangible way to track where if you're making progress or not. Let's go to the next slide. One more click. There we go. So I start with nutrition. A lot of people think when you're a trainer, you should start with exercise. And I start with nutrition because it's 70-80% of your results, because you can do your exercise for the day, but you can totally undo that by some bad choices later in the day. You could have a great workout in the morning, but come home at night and eat a whole pizza, and you've just negated those effects. And having done the physique shows, you heard him talk about that at the beginning. I know that's kind of the fitness psycho thing, but it's kind of crazy. But what you learn about that is how important nutrition is to change the human body, not just in how it looks, but how it functions. And a lot of people have really poor nutrition habits that keep their joints really stiff from inflammation. They don't have quality nutrients, so they're not fueling their body. They're not getting energy from their food, and they're not getting the right nutrients so they can recover not just from their workouts, but also from the stresses of life. And so they're always kind of feeling like they're fighting something, or they're never making progress, and that has a lot to do with your nutrition. And we also have to get into a lifelong plan, not a diet where people just, it's the all or nothing mentality, where I'm either going to be on a really strict diet, I'm on the Whole30, I'm on the keto, just fill in the blank, or I don't really care. I'm just going to do whatever I want. And people typically, like a pendulum, they swing back and forth, and that's where you see them lose weight, gain it back, lose weight, gain it back, and you see them stuck in this hamster wheel of the diet cycle, of the yo-yo dieting cycle. Really, we look at habits. Habits are like bricks in a foundation. Okay, I build a good habit. My number one habit, I'm drinking enough water. I'm well hydrated. There's a brick. Got that one down. I don't skip meals. There's another brick. I've cut down on my sugar and my alcohol intake. There's another brick. And slowly, as you build these bricks and these habits in, and you do them one by one, and you start to cement them in, you build a better foundation so you don't have to jump on a diet, so you're not doing these big fluctuations throughout the year. And then it's all about consistency, not perfection. Getting to that 80% of the time you're making good choices. It's not like you have to eat perfect every day. We always say progress, not perfection, or consistency, not perfection, because you still have to enjoy life. You have to be realistic with people. All right. Even though I've done physique shows, I don't walk around with a cooler with a chicken breast and broccoli everywhere I go. That's not going to work for most people. So we want you to enjoy some of those foods, or enjoy some of those adult beverages, but most people just need to work on more consistency. And then the last point, if you do this one point in the last piece, is making time to prep, shop, and plan is huge. A lot of people are just very reactive. They get home, there's nothing good to eat. It's much easier to throw a pizza in, to get takeout, to run through a drive-through. If you make time on the weekend or wherever during the week is convenient to get the healthy food there, plan some meals, have some things on hand that are easy to make, you're going to be much more successful. And they don't have a lot of time here today, so we'll just kind of glance over this one, but this could be a whole 15-minute talk or more. So let's click to the next slide. Design a complete program. So we want to have strength training. I put that first and foremost because with strength training, you can do it in a way that you get cardiovascular benefits, whereas with cardio, you can't really get strength benefits. But we prefer circuit style, meaning that you're moving from thing to thing. You're not sitting there doing a set of something and then sitting there texting on your phone or watching TV. You're moving around. You're moving from thing to thing. You're using big movements like squats, lunges, deadlifts, presses, pull downs, pull ups, those type of, we're using multiple joints. We're using moderate to heavy resistance, Okay, no pink dumbbells here. We want to put some load on the body because that's going to help not only strengthen the muscles, but the connective tissue and the bone density. And then we're also going to use free weights versus body weight over machines because we get more neurological activity through our body, which helps us stabilize our spine better, which works more muscles, which is getting much more done in much less time. So it's all about efficiency. And when you do it this style, you're going to raise up certain hormones in your body that are going to help you burn fat much more effectively and build muscle. Flipping to number 2, to cardiovascular training, find something you enjoy. Get your heart rate up, find something you enjoy. Just because your neighbor lost a bunch of weight running doesn't mean you have to run. If you hate it, if you have bad knees, you don't have to run. If you like Zumba, if you like dance, find some kind of cardio dance. I like the mountain bike. I like to be in the woods. I like to have things changing. I'm very ADD. So that's what I like, but I know other people that probably scares the crap out of them. So find something you like. That's most important. Work on that 2 to 3 times a week. And then also NEAT, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Just means how often do you move your body throughout the day? We most measure this with our Fitbits or our Apple Watches or Garmin's. But if you only work out for 30 minutes a day and you sit on your butt for 23 and a half hours a day, what do you think your body's going to reflect? That 30-minute workout? Or is it going to reflect that sitting on your butt for 23 and a half hours? Probably the 23 and a half hours. So make an intentional point to take the stairs instead of the elevator. Park farther away. Take a longer walk with your dog. Measure your steps. Work to 10,000. That does make a difference in how your body feels, and that will help you with weight loss goals if that's one of your goals, which most people I find have some type of weight loss goal. And then real quick, flexibility, mobility. A lot of people kind of sidestep this one, or they just kind of do it half-heartedly. Flexibility, mobility is important. I'll just use one example. A lot of times when people squat, they say it hurts their knees. I can't squat very deep. It's not comfortable. And why do you need to squat? Well, I got to get in and out of the chair the rest of my life. That's a squat. I can either do it well or do it poorly. Well, one way to improve a squat is to make sure somebody's got tight calves. They're going to loosen up their calves, and you mobilize their ankles, and they'll squat back into their hips, which activates their hips, takes stress off the knees and the low back, and you're also able to squat lower, and you actually have a better quality squat. So it is an equal partner to these other two. And once again, that could be a whole other lecture because we do a lot of stuff that helps people move better because we sit all day, and that creates a lot of these imbalances where we need to work on our flexibility and mobility. Next slide. Step 4, how many people have actually put a plan together and then nothing happens? I know I've done that. I've written up plans, got all excited, and then nothing. It goes in the drawer somewhere and we forget about it. We're just not taking perfect action. There's that paralysis by analysis, looking for the perfect diet, the perfect workout, but consistent daily action over time, like compounding interest. All right, little actions over time add up. So getting those steps in during the day, bringing your lunch to work versus eating out, getting up and doing 20 minutes of exercise morning over and over again. It's kind of boring. It's wash, rinse, repeat, but that's how it gets it done versus these huge kill myself type of workouts. And I don't work out for 5 days and then I try to make up for it with a 2 or 3 hour grueling workout on the weekend. We see a lot of people do that. It's more that small, consistent action every day. You hear that word consistent a lot is what makes the big difference. Block time. We always block time for things that are important. So block time for your workouts, just like you would an important client and just like you would for a medical appointment, for a kid's thing. Make sure you block time or it's not going to get done. When we hear the word try, it never gets done. Just like Yoda said in The Empire Strikes Back, either do or do not, there is no try, right? So Star Wars fans out there, a little quote from Star Wars, and then be proactive versus reactive. I talked about that with food, but also have your gym bag ready. Have your workout area organized, have yourself ready to go during the week, have everything scheduled, and you're going to be much more successful. And then finally give yourself some grace. Fitness is 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Know that you're going to have those weeks or days where things aren't going to go right, and just accept that. Don't give up and let the first obstacle be the thing that torpedoes your efforts. Next slide. Then real quick, we got to go back every 4 to 6 weeks, evaluate, look at what you're doing, and look at those numbers and track. Are you making progress or not? And if you're not, make those course corrections. And make sure you put some short-term checkpoints with your long-term goals and change it up every 4 to 6 weeks because your body adapts very, very quickly. And so if you don't change it up, that's where you hit the dreaded plateau. So you got to be doing this part too, just like you probably would with your business. You evaluate it at the end of every month. All right, I'm just share a couple stories to wrap it up real quick. So go ahead and click the next slide. So this is Dawn. This is a business owner, owns the Minnesota School of Basketball with her husband, had MS. Very sedentary, a lot of stress. You can just see the difference in her skin tone and how she looks. Very active now, stress levels much lower, has lost a lot of weight. This is a typical person we'd work with. And then we'll flip one more slide. This is Jeff. Jeff's a guy that our kids went to school together. IT guy, stressful job, was dealing with trying to handle his dad's estate when his dad passed away, a lot of late night eating, some wine, a lot of bad habits. But in 4 months, Jeff dropped 40 pounds, changed his habits, replaced the bad ones with some good ones, and totally changed his life. And, he's not looking to be a bodybuilder or anything like that, but you can see a significant difference in how both of these people look and also how they look and feel. And I remember, I'll just close with this. Nothing's better for me than when I see this guy actually sent me a picture on a family vacation on the beach, and the smile on his face, you could tell he is not just physically better, but mentally you could just see a glow in him. And that is very satisfying for me. So my time is up here. I will be ready for some Q&A, but hopefully there's some aha moments for you guys here.